What's up, Bucs fans? Welcome in to another player spotlight, and this time we get a chance to catch up with the Bucs starting quarterback, John Gibbs. John, how we doing today?
Doing good.
Just wrapping up the meetings here, and so almost time for the season, right around the corner. You guys almost have everything ready to go here for that first game in Grand Island?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Everybody's been excited. Friday will make it 2 weeks since everybody's be here. Camp's almost over. Bodies, nicks and bruises here and there. We got to heal up and get ready for game week.
So let's go back and kind of introduce Bucs fans to quarterback John Gibbs. Let's go back to high school to start. From H-Town, Houston. High school football in Texas, I think everybody knows, that's nothing to mess with. What was that experience like for you growing up in that crazy environment?
Just high school football alone in Texas, the environment you play in, the athletic ability you play every week, every Friday or Saturday, whatever the case may be, it does kind of help you when you go other places, across the country as a high school kid, I would say, because when you start seeing other guys from different states or different, parts of the country, their football isn't as intense as it is in Texas. So, I feel like that's a one step we get over everybody just by the mere fact that football in Texas is king.
Graduate from there, go to Alcorn State. Basically rewrite every single record they have at Alcorn State. How did that collegiate football experience kind of get you ready for the pro experience, and what was it like playing college ball at such a high level?
Playing college football on a Division I level was amazing. But to follow in the steps of the great Steve McNair, who we set every record at Alcorn. I broke a couple of his records, maybe some rushing, maybe a couple of passing here and there, but hey, the guy had a cannon. You couldn't really just beat everything. But going to Alcorn State, playing with a great group of men I played with, I love them to this day. It built a bond, a brotherhood, and football is family. Just going there from my freshman year, starting as a true freshman, to my senior year, winning two back-to-back national champs my junior year. And my senior year, we were HBCU national champs. So it was all a dream come true. Something, if you would have told me that, 10 years ago that would have happened, I wouldn't believe you. But, just hard work and ethic, pays off.
When you were kind of going through your college selection process, was the legacy of Steve McNair kind of forefront in your mind when you decided to go to Alcorn?
Not even. which I felt like it should have been, but at the time it wasn't.
Right.
But it wasn't until I got to Alcorn I realized, you're right, Steve McNair did go. I'm looking around, Steve McNair did go here. Yeah. Plus, my quarterback coach was his older brother, Fred McNair, who was also the first Air McNair at Alcorn State University. So it helped me a lot learning from his older brother, who taught Steve a lot of things, and it helped me be a better quarterback, along with my offensive coordinator, Willie Simmons, who's now the head coach at FAMU, A&M University. He helped me a lot. He was also a quarterback in college at Clemson. So to have two quarterbacks in my ear, in the exact same ear, left or right, made a big difference for me.
Speaking of offensive guys who become your coach, you go from Alcorn, you join the Omaha Beef, where you're coached by Rod Miller, who's now the Bismarck Bucs head coach. How much easier has it been adapting to this offensive system when it's essentially the same one you had last year?
Real simple. As far as how the system is, everything's pretty much simplified for the players, to where we know where we're supposed to go. Who can play what. Guys can interchange. We can mix and match whatever we want to do, and it simplifies for the guys to where everyone understands everything. But Coach Miller's a good guy. He's an old school coach. raised on tough love, which is what I was raised and played in Texas, playing high school football or growing up playing football. Period. But he's a good guy. He's tough on his players. He demands a lot, and as players, we know what type of coach he is. We don't want to let coach down.
Talk about knowing where everybody is, and that's probably the biggest challenge, right? Indoor football, these rosters change constantly. Now you're coming from Omaha to Bismarck. What's these first couple of weeks been like in terms of getting to know your teammates?
I still don't even know everyone's names. Good thing we have our stickers, our names on our helmets, so that's what's helping everybody right now. But this week we have cuts, so we'll basically figure out everyone's name this weekend, come next week. But now it's just building chemistry, having fun, building competitiveness with the guys day in and day out. Keeping the intensity, in practice. Keeping upbeat, high intensity, levels in practice.
One other big emerging trend in football right now, the Alliance for American Football. You were one of the very first quarterbacks on the Birmingham Iron roster. What was that like?
It was a great experience. Went to the workout in San Antonio. They had, I want to say 53 quarterbacks there. Great experience. We each guy got to throw 40 balls. They had guys from, you know, anywhere to Ryan Mallett to, I think, Mettenberger, Hackenberg, Tommy Armstrong, who I got to see week 1. He was also there. To a couple of the guys that had Blake Sims, Keith Price, just a lot of guys who everybody who was there was humbled. No person was better than the next person that was there, and we understood we're there for a job to compete, which is, you know, what the guys did. Ended up being released from Birmingham, called Coach Miller, hey, I need a job. So, hey, I still have to better myself to get film, so I'm here, you know, to get film and help bring a championship to Bismarck.
Speaking of the capital city, what's your first impression here, first couple of weeks in the Peace Garden State?
Cold. I left Houston, Texas, and I think it might have been like what the coldest we might have got down there was like 73 or something like that. And now I come up here to -30. It was just a big difference. Start my car up 15 minutes before I go anywhere. Had to buy a scraper. Didn't know what that was. just coming up north, you know, adapting to, you know, my environment. But it's fun. I will say that.
Overall, what are you looking forward to most as this season's right around the corner?
Just for the team to come together and play as one, and for the fans to come out and support. I mean, hey, we do it for you guys at the end of the day. We grind day in and day out with each other throughout practice, but hey, for our fans and for the Bismarck Bucks community, the country, I mean, that's what we do it for.
There you have it. He's hoping you root them on as it's the very first game in Grand Island, Nebraska. He's John Gibbs. I'm Corey Brooks. Talk to you next time.
Hey Bucks fans, if you've been watching the Bucks for years, you know that the rules in indoor football are a little bit different than the outdoor game. The most obvious one, you see it right away, the field. It's half the size, 50 yards, as opposed to 100. So those all-length plays tend to happen a lot. The other thing you'll notice, especially at the Bismarck Event Center, those end zones are shorter. The Bucks have the shortest end zones you'll find in indoor football, making other teams adjust. Speaking of things being a little bit tougher, hitting those field goals, those extra points, twice as difficult with half the length on those goalposts. Fourth downs, it's not going to happen if you're looking for a punt. You're either going for it or you are kicking a field goal, which you can do from just about anywhere on the field. Again, with it just being 50 yards, we've seen guys hit it from end zone to end zone. Points galore in the indoor game, and hey, if you don't think your guy can hit that field goal, it's too far, you just go for it. And that's the essential essence of IFL ball. Speaking of scoring, that's just about the only thing that's going to stop the clock. We keep it going. The action remains furious throughout. That clock won't stop until somebody finds their way into the end zone, puts the ball between the goalposts, or we get a change of possession. That's the only time as the offense and defense switch out. The exception is that 1 minute warning. Then we go to the essentially college timing rules that so many know. Incompletions, alongside stuff like that, stops it. 2 receivers in motion all the time. This is an offense-driven league, and as such, you can only bring 1 blitzer as well. So the offense gets a bit of an inherent advantage. That's why you see so many points in this league. That defender who blitzes has to be in the middle of the road. Think of that as the linebacker. You always have to have a linebacker. No bare fronts down on the line. And those are some of the biggest differences in IFL rules. What's up, Bucks fans? Here with the brand new head coach of the Bucks, Rod Miller. And Coach, obviously your team getting ready to start the 2019 season. And the number one thing fans want to know when a new guy comes to town, what are you giving me on the field? Especially in this league where points are king. What are some of your offensive philosophies?
You know, I think first and foremost, my first philosophy is I teach our offense is, our first goal is touchdown to check down. Every play we're looking for a touchdown. If it's not, we're going to check the ball down and keep the chains moving. So that's one of the main things. We're looking for that home run, but if it's not there, we'll take that triple and double. As long as we score at the end, that's all that matters.
Certainly trying to drive that offense, and I know the fans love the big play attack as well. Defensively, in a league where it's tough to get defense, what are you looking for?
You know, first it starts up front. We got to get to the quarterback, got to make the quarterback feel uncomfortable. And I appreciate these guys, and everybody thinks sacks. Yeah. You're not going to get a lot of sacks in these leagues because it's a pass-driven, fast-paced game. So we want hurries. We want to make the quarterback feel uncomfortable, make him get out the pocket, make him think, we're breathing down his neck. If we can do that up front, on the back end, we should take care of ourselves and make sure we're in the right positions to make plays.
So aggression on both sides of the ball.
Aggressive. Yes, sir. Controlled anger.
So, controlled anger, I like that. So, obviously, that's what you're looking for on the field, and that's cultivated by a long time in this type of game.
Right.
You've been to Omaha,
You've been everywhere in between. You've seen the highest levels of indoor football. What are some of the stops you've made en route here to Bismarck?
I mean, it's been a long ways. I've been Grand Rapids, Michigan, Cleveland, Ohio, Kansas City, Kansas, Tyler, Texas, Greenville, South Carolina, Green Bay, Wisconsin. So I've been a lot of places, and like I said, been overseas in China as well. So I've had a lot of stops along the way. I love this game. I wouldn't change it, and that's why I do what I do, because I love this game.
A lot of those teams playing at the highest levels of indoor football, but it's that one outdoor one I want to ask you about.
Yes.
Moving over to China. What was that experience like?
It was a great experience. You know, for me, not having ever been out of the country and try to experience something like that, then to go out of the country and play a game that you love. I mean, it was a great experience to sightsee. It's a different culture, and you get a chance to, you know, expand your horizon and see different things. So that was big. And for me personally, it was a great feeling knowing the history of China and knowing that we went in the history books as the first team to ever play and win a professional game in the history of China. I mean, that was big to us, and that's a great accomplishment to, you know, myself and then to my family and the people that have backed us and backed me throughout the years. So, I mean, that was a great accomplishment, and I feel good about that.
One of those spots you were at before China, but before and after, I suppose, the Omaha Beef, your hometown. Now you're carrying over a lot of that Omaha roster here to Bismarck. How much does that help you, knowing some of these guys right off the bat?
And it's crucial because three of the guys, like I said, that we're bringing over were guys, four of the guys that are coming over are guys that had key experience. They were very good players for us in that situation, and I think they'll be great players here. And they were some of the, you know, best players in the league that deserve a chance to show what they can do here and bring the, you know, fans of Bismarck a chance to see a great team and a great championship if we can get that.
When you were with Omaha the first time, they were at this level, at the IFL. What should fans expect now that the Bucks are playing at the highest level of indoor football?
You know, they should expect some fast action, good pace, some quality coaches, and some quality players. I mean, this league alone last year, there were, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 guys that were called up to Canada during the season, right after the season. So there are some players that get a chance. There's NFL guys that are playing right now, and probably one of the biggest, you know, names that people looking at right now is the new coach for Green Bay, Matt LaFleur. He actually played for the Omaha Beef. So, you know, there's a lot of talent and coaching that comes out of these leagues. So fans should be excited. We got a good quality football coming.
Overall, you've been in Bismarck now for a few months. What are some of the things you've really liked here in the Peace Garden State?
You know what? People are very friendly. I keep hearing everybody say people are very friendly, and that I can't say. I've noticed a lot of people are friendly. They're excited about what the Bucks can do, and we're excited to give them a good product to come cheer for.
Overall, what are some of your goals this season for the Bismarck Bucks, for the Bucks, getting this thing going in the first year of IFL play?
You know, first thing we want to do is get the fans excited, you know, and bring a quality product here. And like I tell our players, you know, you can talk about winning championships, but at the end of the day, it only comes with winning games. So our goal is just to win game by game, win game. 1-0 each week. You take care of games, take care of winning, championships take care of themselves. And that's what I'm trying to preach to our team and to the fans understand as well. Let's just cheer for one game at a time and keep it going.
Before we even get the games going, you've got training camp, got an open tryout, and this year it's a little different at training camp. Bucks are going to have something they haven't really had before, camp battles. We're going to have a lot of guys competing for spots. How does that make this team better in the long term?
You know, it's always good. Competition is good, and that's one of the things when recruited that I told the players, you know, we're starting from scratch, meaning we're going to bring in new talent. We're going to bring in fresh competition, and every spot is open. You know, to come in and compete, the best man is going to be on the field. And the guys are excited about that, knowing that we're going to make everybody have a fair opportunity to be a contributor right away.
One last question for you, Coach. Obviously, the Bucks have a phenomenal home field advantage. You know, the fans in Bismarck very excited, but you've got some tough road trips, some teams that have been around a very long time, especially your closest neighbor in Sioux Falls. Right. How do you try and maybe cultivate some of those regional rivalries, understanding those are tough places to win?
You know, it's always tough to win on the road. And then when you're playing teams, like I said, with the history of Sioux Falls, Iowa Barnstormers that won the championship in this game last year. You know, there's a lot of good competition. And we just want to encourage our fans to support us. You know, when we're away, we'll have, you know, watch parties here in town. Support that. Support your team any way you can. And we're going to go out there and give it the best product. And like I said, you don't get in this to just try to compete. We're going to try to come out to bat. And like I said, everybody, no, we're not a rookie coach or rookie situations. We got some quality guys that are coming. We're going to surprise some people. So you heard that here first. We're going to surprise some people.
What's up, Bucks fans? In this edition of Buckshot, we're going to go around the IFL and show you some of the places your Bismarck Bucks will be visiting this season. We start out in Grand Island, smallest town in the IFL. Its sports culture is largely defined by Lincoln, the home of the Nebraska Cornhuskers 100 miles away. On Husker game day, the interstate comes alive between the two cities. But in IFL season, the town embraces the danger. And this year, they'll join both of their fans' passions as former Husker quarterback Tommy Armstrong will helm the Danger offense after rewriting the record book at Nebraska and getting a look from the Minnesota Vikings. First formed in 2011, the Nebraska Danger have made the IFL playoffs 6 straight years. With Armstrong's strong arm, they hope to make it 7. The Bucs' second opponent couldn't be more different. After an old team in a smaller town, Bismarck travels to a metropolis to take on the new guys on the block. This last September, the Tucson Sugar Skulls were announced as an expansion IFL team. Tucson became the second Arizona city in the league, along with Phoenix. Tucson does love its college sports, though, with the hometown Arizona Wildcats often making a March Madness run. Desert and mountains dominate the landscape of Tucson, and those cacti represent the farthest the Bucs will go on a trip this year or any other in franchise history. 2 IFL newcomers clashing in Week 2 will certainly draw some eyeballs across the league as both teams look to prove themselves at the top level of indoor ball under the sun. After a long homestand, the Bucs hit the road again, this time to take on the 2 teams to miss the IFL playoffs last year. First up, it's the Cedar Rapids River Kings. Last year, Cedar Rapids Titans went 3-11. But with new ownership comes a new brand, a name change, and hope in the city of 5 seasons. The home of the Quaker Oats factory, Cedar Rapids, also has manufactured plenty of household acting names, including Ashton Kutcher and Elijah Wood. NASCAR's Landon Cassill and former NFL quarterback Kurt Warner also grew up in Cedar Rapids. Warner is one of indoor football's greatest success stories, and the River Kings hope to produce similar results in his hometown. After that, the Bucs head to one of America's great football towns, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Home to the NFL's Packers, this market can't get enough gridiron action. Enter the Green Bay Blizzard. A difficult year for GB last year saw them miss the playoffs, but this team has bounced back before. Founded all the way back in 2003, the Blizzard have produced multiple IFL Hall of Famers, including our own color analyst, Coach Robert Fuller. Regardless of results, this town supports their team with football being at the core of this Wisconsin city. That and the cheese. From worst to first, the Bucs' next road foe won the United Cup a year ago. The Iowa Barnstormers of Des Moines went 11-3 en route to their club's first championship. Iowa will return the United Bowl MVP and Ryan Ballantyne, with the 2019 slate looking like another good one in the Iowa capital. One of the major business centers in the Midwest, this busy city also hosts a ton of other sports teams, including the Iowa Cubs, Chicago's AAA team. Few teams come out of the Wells Fargo Arena, or as locals call it, the Well, will win. Bismarck try and do just that. It wouldn't be the first time the Bucs went to a place for the very first time and beat their hosts. They did it just last year, in fact, to their partners in IFL expansion, the Quad City Steamwheelers. The Bucs went down to Moline, Illinois and beat the Wheelers 44-42. In case you're wondering, the other 3 cities in the Quad, in addition to Moline, are Bettendorf, Davenport, and Rock Island, all in Iowa, home to John Deere World Headquarters and the only active U.S. Army foundry on Rock Island. Manufacturing is at the heart of these 4 towns. Quad Cities also has a great sports history as the home of NFL charter member, the Rock Island Independents, and the Tri-Cities Blackhawks, now the Atlanta Hawks, alongside developmental teams like the Quad City Storm. As all those seasons end, Bismarck hopes to repeat history. Speaking of history, Bismarck has some with their final road opponent. Not the Bucs, mind you. They'll be on their first ever trip to Sioux Falls. But one of the driving forces of the move to the IFL for the Bucs is the chance to renew these 2 cities' rivalry. Throughout the athletics course of both towns, Sioux Falls and Bismarck often find themselves on opposite ends. And taking on one of the IFL's core and premier members be no exception, as the Bucs do battle with the Sioux Falls Storm. One of the most successful teams in the league every single year with 10 championships. The Storm are at the heart of this sports town. This sports hub in Sioux Falls serves as the spot for a ton of postseason tournaments as well. Athletic competition is never far in Sioux Falls, and Bismarck will need to play their best game to close out the regular season. In indoor football, there's a saying, every guy in this league has a story. Well, the league's towns do too. We've shown you just a fraction of the culture of the Bucks Road Foes. There'll be plenty more to unveil throughout the season here on Beck Sports. And of course, teams all across the Indoor Football League are going to learn a whole lot about Bismarck, North Dakota. That's going to do it for this edition of Buckshot. We'll talk to you next time. For Beck Sports, I'm Corey Brooks.